Hello, and welcome to part 3 of our top 20 Pixar couples, fannon and canon, as decided by us. If you are just joining us now, go back and watch parts 1 and 2. Like, really.
It's getting old. Okay, so we last left off at number 11, which brings us to number 10.
Top 10, woo!
This couple is canon, but it isn't a real couple. Does this make sense? No. Will it in just a minute?
Yes. And I don't really know why I'm here, because I don't... You explain this so much better than I do.
Okay, so number 11 is from Disney Pixar's Finding Nemo. And it is Bubbles and Bubbles. If you don't know who Bubbles is, he's the fish inside the tank that goes, my bubbles. You can't have them because they're my bubbles, 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 not bubbles. So why is he on our list with things or items, so to speak, such as Bubbles? Well, I highly believe there's nothing that Bubbles loves more than what he was named after. The reason being is he gets jealous of his bubbles the way that normal people get jealous of their boyfriends or girlfriends. He sees someone looking at his bubbles or talking about his bubbles and he goes all crazy and he's like, no looking at my bubbles, no touching my bubbles, no thinking about my bubbles, don't even have any connection to my bubbles because they are my bubbles. Which is basically enough to be said for this character or this pairing, because that's really all there is to it.
And I'm back for number 9 from the Disney Pixar Toy Story franchise, movies in particular, Toy Story 2 and Toy Story 3.
Buzz Lightyear, Star Command, and Jessie the Only Cowgirl, who have dropped greatly since our last video.
Because they're annoying now.
They used to be number 1. Now they're number 9.
Sucks to be them!
So anyways, they're on our list because they are a good couple. And they're very different from other Pixar couples. Because or not necessarily Pixar couples, but definitely Toy Story couples.
Oh yes, definitely Toy Story franchise.
Because you have couples like Ken and Barbie and Mrs. and Mr. Potato Head, who are literally made for each other. And then you have Woody and Bo, who Bo's like, oh look, I'm a damsel in distress, and Woody's like, howdy, I'm a sheriff with a snake in my boot. And then Bo's all like, save me! And then he's like, sure thing. And they're like, oh, hee hee hee. And yeah, we have hooks in our lips.
But Buzz and Jessie, on the other hand, if Buzz was like, oh, I'll save you, Jessie's just like, back up, Space Ranger. This is my territory. I know what to do. I'm a damsel. I'm in distress. I can handle it. Have a nice day.
I got this, man. Ain't no thing.
Ain't no thing.
And when they first meet, Buzz is like, you have a nice yarn full of hair full of yarn, or whatever. Blah, blah, blah. There's a hook in my lip. Blah, blah, blah. And Jessie's like, yo, hold up, bruh. I'm gonna do my thing. You're gonna stand there, you're gonna watch me, you're gonna be turned on, you're gonna wanna be with me forever, no big deal. And then she goes and she does her thing, and her plan unfolds for her.
Something that I really like about these characters, and when you look at it at Toy Story 3, is when you think about Toy Story 2. When that movie came out, they didn't expect to make a Toy Story 3. So when Toy Story 2 came out, and they were a result of Pair the Spares, because Bo and Woody were together. So, well, we have a new girl character, and Buzz is our other main character. What if they were each other's love interests? So then they kind of just threw it together last minute, and she basically explained the entire relationship from the second movie. And then in the third movie, they're the main couple in the movie, really.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool. It's really cool how it worked out, though.
Okay. So coming in at number 8, we have Marlin and Dory from Disney Pixar's Finding Nemo.
Dorlin!
Which is a classic case of canon or fannon. Nobody knows. But I really like the couple. I don't like the fandom. This is simply because they're all like, oh my god, they're so in love. They're going to tell each other every day like Bruno Mars. And, and so anyways, like everything you read about Dorlin is that they're all up in each other's grill like, oh my god, I love you so much. But that would never happen canon. Because Dory wouldn't realize that it's happening and Marlin would keep it to himself.
Yeah, exactly. That's the best way to explain it. But what does make them a good couple, in my personal opinion, is the fact that they're not canon, in a sense, if that makes any sense to people watching this at all. It's the fact that when Dory was giving her big thing about how, when I look at you, I'm home, she didn't say I love you. There's no way of knowing whether or not she does, but she didn't say it. And I think that's almost what makes them such a popular pairing, is the fact that, oh wait, they never said that. But wouldn't it be cool if they did?
However, in the movie, Dory tells Nemo she'll see him after school. So couples are like, oh wow, that's cool. That means she's hanging around. But it doesn't necessarily. Wait, no. Let me talk. It doesn't necessarily mean that her and Marlin are together. However, at Walt Disney World, at Animal Kingdom theme park, there's a show called Finding Nemo, the musical. In this, at the end of a song, Dory says about, and come home when you're done, when Nemo goes to school, which means referring that it should be both of their home, which would also be Marlin's home, which means Dory's probably living with them.
So take that as you will. Treat that with a grain of salt, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Next, I'll let you take this one, because I don't know anything about it.
At number 7, so I'm getting up politely like I did. Just lie down.
That's what I do, bitch.
So, would you quit kicking that?
Sorry.
Our laptop's sitting on it for a reason. Anyway, so we have at number 7, we have Manny and Gypsy from A Bug's Life. Manny is the praying mantis magician, and Gypsy is his moth wife, who is his lovely assistant. And the reason they're on the list isn't because of anything we remember from the movie. We haven't seen the movie in probably about 10 years, which would have only been a few years after it came out. But something I need to explain. If you're not a 90s kid, this may come as a shock to you. But Pixar wasn't the big booming company that everybody thinks that they were at the time of A Bug's Life. They only had Toy Story. So they weren't pumping out merchandise all the time like they did for Cars 2 or for Toy Story 3 or for Up. They didn't know if it was going to be a success or not. Everyone was just kind of hoping they were. And one of the things that I had of merchandise after the movie proved to be a success was a book. And this book was about Manny and Gypsy and how they met and why they got married. And the only thing that stuck with me from that book is there was this scene, and it was probably the sweetest, most romantic scene my little 2 or 3 or 4 or 5-year-old brain had ever read, where she was going to fly towards a light, but it turned out to be a moth trap because she's a moth, and Manny told her not to, and Manny saved her life. And she's like, oh, you saved my life, I'm eternally grateful. And he's just like, haha, I have a hook in my lip. And it was actually much more romantic than the way I just explained it. But anyway, you get the general gist. It was a really, really cute scene. And it translates in the movie after they're married.
Okay. So, then, coming in at number 6 is from the, Disney Pixar
Franchise.
Toy Story franchise, Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head. And what is so incredible about this couple is that at the end of Toy Story 1, the first one, sorry, you hear...
No, I thought Toy Story 2 was the first
Shut
one.
up. You hear that that Molly gets a Mrs. Potato Head for Christmas. And then in the second movie, they're already like that grumpy old couple that's been married forever and bickering about everything and monkey chow and monkeys. And it makes them almost so much more likable, especially since at that particular point in the movie where Woody was gone and Buzz and Jessie still hadn't met, they were the only real...
They were the only couple in the playroom. And they were married.
So it was really awesome and interesting and funny to see them like that. And even though they kind of take a back seat to the bigger couples like Woody and Bo and Buzz and Jessie, even in the second and third movie, or I guess it was the only movie she was in, but they're still one of the better Pixar couples out there just because of the lightheartedness they bring.
Yeah. I personally really like the couple because of the pairing of Estelle Harris and Don Rickles. They're both such fantastic actors that even though they weren't recording together, they played off each other so well. And then there's, of course, the scene where she packs his butt with the monkey chow. If you haven't seen that scene, just look up Toy Story 2 bloopers. It's the funniest thing ever. And that concludes part 2. Or not part 2, this is part 3. So tune in for our final part 4 to see who the top 5 are and who we think is the best Pixar couple, canon and fannon, of all time.